Good evening, everyone. The title of my today's TEDx talk is Less Ego and More Eco. Well, I can see the faces in the audience wondering what kind of the title of a talk is this? Less ego and more of eco. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I repeat it again. Less ego and more of eco. Yes, you have heard it right. It is less ego and more eco. In the next few minutes, we will go through how our egoistic attitudes have created this unprecedented environmental crisis in which we are living in, and how, if we make a transition from this egocentric notion, more of our individual egocentric notion, into the ecocentric notions to solve this crisis. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all will agree to the fact that the earth today is suffering from the environmental problems, whether it be pollution, climate change, global warming, and so on. We can see the effects and after effects of these environmental degradation issues in our day-to-day lives. And here, I would like to ask you all a very basic, a simple question. Well, what do you all think when the earth, the planet in which we are living, is subjected to distress, is subjected to utmost distress, then how can we, the inhabitants of this planet, be subjected to comfort and happiness? Well, the answer is loud and clear, and it is no. The only planet which sustains life in the universe is constantly facing serious threats of ecological destruction. And without proper functioning of the environment, the earth can no longer sustain life. And when it can no longer sustain life, then living in this planet of us, the Homo sapiens, is becoming an issue. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nearing towards our own mass extinction. We are nearing towards the mass extinction of the species called as Homo sapiens. And we are the Homo sapiens. The generic name Homo is learned, and it is derived from a Latin word homo, which refers to the humans of either sex. The name Homo sapien means wise man or a knowledgeable man. But are we wise? Are we knowledgeable? Think yourself. Well, the Homo sapiens are no longer wise, no longer knowledgeable, and we have become ignorant, ill-mannered, ill-informed with our own subtle motives when it comes to environment. The motives here are based on thinking that we, the Homo sapiens, living on this planet, we are living with utmost supremacy and domination. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is our ego. Further, it has been found that we, the Homo sapiens, are the most careless species on this planet when it comes to anything but except ourselves. This egocentric behavior towards the environment is the main cause of ecological crisis which we face today. And trust me, this crisis is going to intensify in the upcoming years if the Homo sapiens, if we do not give up this reckless conduct. Well, due to this negligent behaviors, when the Homo sapiens change some part of the earth, some part of the environment, some other parts also change. And concerns about our actions, the Homo sapiens actions with respect to environment, reached unprecedented prominence in 1960s and continue to be an issue even in the 21st century in which we are living in. The consequences of the years of neglect are, with respect to environment, are very serious. And the depletion of ozone layer, climate change, global warming, destructive storm, changed climate patterns all across the world can be seen in our daily life, and it is all and all due to the human exploitation of the resources. As the Homo sapiens have done considerable damage to the environment, its negative effects are affecting not only us, the Homo sapiens, but also the other species, and even those who are yet to be born. Have we ever thought that what are the reasons behind our careless, negligent, ill-mannered attitude and behavior towards the environment? Just think. The reason is our egoistic mindset. egoistic mindset of being and considering ourselves as the most important species on the earth, maybe on the universe. This egoism is also driven by so many other factors, whether it be progressivism, domination, superiorism, industrialism, consumerism, and so on. And let's look at these factors which are contributing to our egoistic mindset. The first is progressivism, the belief that the human condition will gradually improve through abundance. And included with this belief is the unquestioned trust that technology and progress is going to solve all our human problems. But trust me, this is wrong notion. This is our myth. We, as a result, have believed that only and only economic growth and technological innovations can be combined to nurture a blind faith that this progress is going to continue forever, ladies and gentlemen. The second thing is industrialism, the belief that mass production and design institutions and programs are the best ways to perfect the human society. But again, it is a wrong notion. The third thing contributing to this egoistic attitude of ours is consumerism. Well, the belief that the well-being is only and only achieved through abundance and consumption. Let me tell you how it works. The unquestioned acceptance of the advertising and the near religious dedications attached to shopping in some societies, right, is a product of relentless advertising campaigns designed to convince the society that neither peace nor joy, neither salvation nor paradise can come except you heightened use of the consumption patterns. Well, so successful is this campaign, ladies and gentlemen, that humans are willing, and they appear to be willing to exhaust almost all resources of the earth just to satisfy their desires. Well, moving ahead, the other factor contributing to our egoistic attitude is dualism. It is a fragmented assumption that reality is fragmented and composed of inherently separate parts. For example, creator and the human, plants and the animals, human and the nature, mind and the body. It not only leads to fragmentation, but also to compartmentalization of our experiences. Well, for example, personal, professional, human, rational, and so on. And let me ask you all, are we separate from the nature? Think over it. Are we separate from the nature? The answer is no. The other factor contributing to our egoistic attitude, our egoistic mindset is domination. Just having the assumption that the higher-ups have the right to control those in the lesser position. Well, as a result of this assumption, the expectations of domination and submissions are embedded to almost all relationships on the earth. For example, male or female, human or nature. Well, closely following this domination, the beliefs of thinking that the humans are the most important species on the earth and the human's well-being, the individual's well-being is primary. Such beliefs have not only contributed to anthropocentrism, egocentrism, but also to individualism. And the other factor is determinism. Well, the assumption that the earth and universe are never changing. And if you know the paths and the rules, well, you can understand the whole. This mechanistic metaphor, ladies and gentlemen, of the universe reflects this assumption. Well, we should now understand and closely analyze that these values, well, I'm afraid to call them the values. No, these are not values. These are just assumptions, and they have been triggered more by the human ego and have led to an innate bias and embedded in our social relationships and in every citizens of the modern day society. Well, the earth here has been seen as an endless resource with which the humans have the right to do whatever they want to do. This human ego of superiority, domination, anthropocentrism, well, this has resulted into environmental degradation, and which is a result of our ignorance. And we have this tendency just to overlook the environment, just to take everything in the environment for granted. And this is what our ego is all about. Thus, ladies and gentlemen, as majority of people do not care about the environment, therefore, they overuse all environmental resources for their own gratification and never feel the pain of our destructive actions. And this is the sad reality. And as I said in the beginning, less of ego, less of our ego, and more of eco. Now, I shall tell you now how to become more eco. We need to shift towards ecocentrism. Ecocentrism is derived from the Greek word oikos, which means the house, and kentron, which means the center. And it is a term which has been used in the ecological philosophy to denote nature-centered approach as opposed to the human-centered approach which we have talked about in egocentrism. Now let's analyze how ecocentrism can be used, right? In ethical terms, well, ecocentrism tries to expand the morals with respect to nature towards the social community from being just ourselves. Well, it tells us, ecocentrism in ethical terms tells us that the earth is not about one single species, that is the human beings or the Homo sapiens. Well, it is all about the intrinsic diversity of billions of species living along with us in this planet. An individual human being is a part of this bigger system, the system called the system of life. And life, ladies and gentlemen, is perhaps the greatest gift of God on this blue planet called Earth. We need to understand that the life is to be valued not only of the ours, but also of the billions of other species co-inhabiting us. Therefore, morally, it is our obligation to help this diversity grow and protect this ecological diversity and nourish the nature. So now let's move towards ecocentrism in evolutionary terms. Ecocentrism reflects to the fact that Homo sapiens have evolved out of a rich web of life on the earth, a legacy stretching back from unimaginable 3.5 billion years, and the other species literally are our cousins, our sisters, our relatives, close and distant, and the recognition of this biological kinship. This biological kinship and recognizing confers those moral responsibilities that we have towards our other fellow species. Well, thus ecocentrism talks about this propinquity, that is nearness, with the non-living constituents as well, the abiotic components as well, like rock, air, water, soil, because of spatial or geographical proximity. Now let's move towards ecocentrism in spiritual terms, and this is very much important. More eco asks the people and the society, ask you, ask me, to develop this ecocentric moral sentiments. And not only moral sentiments, but moral commitments. There is an increasing evidence that ecocentric values are being fused into the nature-based ecocentric spirituality, and many of us of which are very innovative and new. Well, let me tell you that no religion of the world talks about harming the nature. Does it talk about? No. When no religion talks about harming the nature, it's very simple solution that with such spiritualities, even the people who are entirely materialistic in their own worldview often speak of the earth and ecosystem as sacred and thus worthy of all care and affection. Now moving towards ecocentrism in ecological term, it talks about life is an independent, is not only it is interdependent, right? Both human and the non-humans are absolutely and completely dependent on the ecosystem that processes the nature provides. Well, an anthropocentric conservation ethic is not alone adequate for conserving the biodiversity. Well, it logically leads to both empathy for our fellow inhabitants and also humility, because in this process we are no different from other species. And ecology teaches us that humility in another way, as we do not know about the different ecosystems of the world and never will, it is important to conserve, protect, as well as preserve the environment and the ecosystem. Well, to conclude, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, that anthropocentrism gives birth to egocentrism. And anthropocentrism and egocentrism is a very, very, very deadly combination. Well, in which the humans, they believe and they view themselves as the most essential species, and then it leads to arrogance and ego. To be really honest, the world have seen enough of anthropocentrism and egocentrism, right? Along with consumerism, materialism, domination, superiorism. And this has only added insult to injury to our ecological problems. An egocentric view is very, very important that follows from the naturally derived, evolutionally derived empathetic and aesthetic capacities. which when combined with our rational and logical abilities, we can really move towards ecocentrism as a way of conserving the nature. And moving ahead, I would just like to say that surely, if anything which is worthy of respect and even reverence is the life itself, and now on our own home planet, that is the earth, we maintain a transformation, and we should maintain a transformation from an egocentric worldview to ecocentric worldview, and corresponding the value systems, and it is very necessary path towards flourishing life on earth, including of our own species. So in the end, I would just like to say, let's put our egocentric views of the human beings to the back seat and the ecocentric notion to the driving seat. Thank you very much.